Hello, welcome back, Gem City Welding. This is part 2 of the CPP 500 steering installation kit. So in the first video, we went over the basics about what the kit comes with, the parts that you get, and how to install those parts. Where we left off in part 1 was I was talking about how you can take your center link, your center drag link, and you can modify it to help with tie rod clearance on reinforced frames. Now, those of you that have missed part 1, I'll sum it up by saying that there's two different ways that you can do the 58 to 64 frames. The first one and the most common would be to recess the front cross member back enough to clear for your tie rod clearance. Nothing wrong with that modification. That is a very common modification and widely accepted. The second method would be to take your center link, your manual center link, and actually take a little bit of bend out of here and out of here. And what that does is that helps give clearance for the tie rods when they come close to the frame. The second modification in that is actually reaming out these tapered holes. And when I say ream them out, we're not talking very much. I'll show you some pictures here of the difference. But basically, you take a tapered reamer and take just a little bit of material out, and what that does is that brings that tie rod in a little bit closer to the bar. That way, you get more clearance on the backside between your frame and this bar. Like I said, this is a tip that I picked up from a couple pro chassis builders who build these cars pretty much for a living, and this is the method that I ultimately chose. So with that being said, I owe an absolute huge thank you to a very special viewer. This gentleman, I stumbled across his Instagram page some time ago. I don't remember exactly, but his name is Chris Huff, and he goes by Christopher Shane 78 on Instagram. And so I don't really remember exactly the full story about how he and I got into where we interacted with one another, but for a minute, he and I were about the same part of our project and progress-wise. And I remember me asking him some questions, and he asked me a couple questions or something like that, and I asked him about his how he ended up doing his steering, because initially we had talked about doing this modification, and he kind of put two and two together and realized who I was and who, we were talking back and forth this whole time, and he's like, oh man, he goes, I watch your build, I watch your show. So the whole point of all that is that when I finally got my kit, I reached back out to Chris and I said, hey Chris, I'm looking at getting ready to modify this thing. Can you send me the link to the tapered reamer that you use? And Chris, being the incredibly nice guy that he is, said, you know what, brother, I'm going to help you out. How about you send it to me and I'll take care of it for you? And I was like, holy crap, that is huge. That's a very good feeling, because Chris, where I live at in the country, or where Chris lives at in the country, is quite a bit far apart, and for him to do that for me is a very honorable thing. So I owe Chris a huge thank you for that. He's building a beautiful tray rag right now, and he's got a tray hardtop too. It's everything that I want this car to be someday. So I'll share some links to that stuff. But Chris, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you more than you could possibly imagine for helping me out with this. Because ultimately, to a lot of you as the viewers, what Chris ended up doing was, I don't have a press here at home. I have access to a press through some friends of mine, and I was going to take that route to get this straightened out, and then I was going to buy the reamer. But for Chris to just step up and say, hey bro, I got you, man, it's absolutely amazing. So thank you, brother. Much love, appreciate you a lot, thank you. So with that being said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this thing on here, get it installed, and show you guys the clearance that it provides for the tie rods. So hang tight, here we go. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to some of the viewers: Joseph SM, Ed Barajas, Shooter Chief, Straight Pipe Productions, Hustler Pro from New Zealand. Thank you for watching and being part of the program. Thank you. All right, so what I've done is I've skipped ahead a little bit. Basically, I've pulled the entire weight off the chassis. That way it's easier for me to turn the wheels left and right to show you the clearance, because it's, let's be honest, it's a pain in the ass turning it without a steering wheel on the ground. But so all the weight's off of it. Just a quick side note, the steering pitman arm isn't completely on yet because I have to get a socket to, sorry guys, trying to get that to focus. I haven't been able to drive that on yet. I tried with that guy, it's just, that's not gonna cut it. But here we go, here's the gist of it. So, focus here. We're talking acres behind this thing, between the frame. And this would be the driver's side. As you can see, we're talking, I don't know, an inch of play, probably. And all that is just from straightening that bar a little bit. I mean, we're not talking a lot, guys, just a little bit. And I know someone's gonna ask, well, how much do you know how to straighten it? This is one of those things where Chris kind of did the homework for me, and he already had it figured out for his. But I would just say that you're just gonna have to trial and error, just keep going back and forth until it clears. And then of course, reaming out those holes just a little bit for those to slide in just a little bit further. But that's it. That's pretty much the gist of it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set you up on the camera and I'm gonna move the wheels left and right and show you the clearance. All right, so I got you set up in the best angle that I could possibly get with this thing. So bear with me. And hang on, I'm put some gloves on here. All right, here we go. So this would be all the way to the passenger side. And then we'll go all the way back to the driver's side. That's full lock. Both directions. Let me spin that around again. There we go. At its closest point right there, you're still probably, oh, I don't know, 3/8 away from the cross member. Assuming that you would ever turn that far. I don't think that I don't think you would turn that far with this thing on the ground, because of brake lines and hoses and all that crap. But you get the idea. That's pretty much the gist of it. There again, another shot of the clearance. Sorry guys, I'm doing the best I can here. I promise you though, there's a lot of room here. And the benefits to that, like I was saying earlier, is I didn't have to modify the belly other than of course the reinforcement. And to be honest with you, I think that side will clearance better once I have that pitman arm fully seated. But I gotta get a socket for that. I think it's like 1.5 inches or something, so I gotta get one of those. And of course, absolutely nothing is aligned. I mean, I did the best I could with a tape measure, just trying to eyeball it. But you get the idea. So again, straightening this bar somewhere in this area and right in here. And then of course, reaming out those holes. It's not a whole lot, but every little bit helps draw those closer to the center link itself. So let me flip this around. All right, so I hope this was informative to someone out there who's looking to do this very soon. Just take it slow, put this thing in a press and straighten around a little bit and then ream those holes, and you'll be really good. So again, thank you, Chris. Appreciate you, brother. And this will be the end of part 2. So I've got something new for this episode. So let me get you set back up on the tripod and we'll go over it. All right, we're back. So normally at this part in the video, traditionally I would do like a speak on a topic, but for this video, I'm gonna skip the whole speak on a topic thing and go right into what I like to do is a builder spotlight, where I focus on a builder, someone who's putting a car together, someone's car that I've seen. They may know me, I may know them, or maybe not. It's just a noteworthy thing that I could feature on the channel and show what guys around the country and in some cases around the world are doing. For this inaugural builder spotlight, I'm going to focus on the gentleman that actually helped me out with this bar right here. Chris is building this tray rag, a 63 rag, and I'll show some pictures of it. He, how do I say this? His attention to detail is incredible. It makes me feel like I'm scatterbrained working on this when I see guys like Chris, because they put in so much work into every intricate little piece that it's just it's basically a work of art. And his chassis has inspired me a lot for my chassis, and the type of like he went with a pit bull rear end, I went with a pit bull rear end. He's got a fully molded frame. I mean, you know, just top quality, top-notch work. And the thing about doing this kind of thing and featuring people on the channel and talk about stuff is, like, a guy like Chris, it's not so much his car, but it's actually about the person. And I try to focus on that in this channel, you know, when I talk about companies and corporations and people who have businesses, small businesses and stuff like that. It's the people, and Chris is no different. He, from the moment I started talking to him, he's just been really nice and very helpful, and he even reached out to some people on my behalf if he didn't have the answer to what the question I had for him, which is huge. So, you know, a big part of this whole entire thing is building community. And you know, in the lowrider world, I feel like that's an important thing, because there's so much out there that's just keeping us, you know, divided in certain factions of this hobby that just try to keep people like this. And Chris is he's the opposite of that. Every time I've had a question, he's been right there and he's been on it, and I can't thank him enough for that. So again, his 63 rag. Fully molded out frame, pit bull rear, extended uppers. He's got all chrome suspension. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It's insane build. It's going to be badass. I hope someday to run into him in a show if I ever get to traveling around, because he's also got a 63 hardtop that let the cat out of the bag now. That's the color that's on that car that I want for this car. But I don't know, we'll see when we get there someday. But anyways, I just wanted to focus on Chris, show his builds, show what he's doing, and hopefully, you know, guys like that can inspire you too at home to keep going on your projects. And, you know, I've talked about in the past on Speak on the topic that, you know, sometimes this stuff can be overwhelming, and don't be afraid to walk away and just take a breath. And, you know, it all come together in the end. It just takes time and patience, and a lot of help and some good people that's got your back. So thank you again, Chris. Thank you to everyone that's watched this episode. Got questions, feel free to hit me up. I'll do the best I can. And until next time, take care, peace, and we'll see you later.